December 1984. In the densely packed slums of Jayaprakash Nagar, India, hundreds of thousands of people are fast asleep. Just one worker at a pesticide plant, noticing his eyes are watering more than usual. He figures it's nothing. Bhopal is a dusty city. Eyes water sometimes. He goes back to work. By morning, 500,000 people will have been poisoned, thousands will be dead. And the company responsible will spend the next 4 decades arguing in court about what they owe. This is the night of December, day 2, 1984. And almost everything that happens in the next 6 hours was preventable. Before you can understand the disaster, you have to understand the deal. India in the 1960s and 70s is a country in crisis. Not a slow, manageable crisis, a terrifying one. The population is growing faster than the food supply. There have been famines. International economists are openly writing about whether India can feed itself at all. The government is desperate, and desperation makes countries open doors they might otherwise keep closed. The solution, or part of it, is called the Green Revolution. New crop varieties, modern farming techniques, dramatically increased yields. It works, production goes up. But the new crops are fragile. They attract insects. And so, alongside the seeds, comes the pesticide industry. Union Carbide Corporation is one of the largest chemical companies in the world, based in Danbury, Connecticut, publicly traded, profitable. And in the early 1970s, they see an opportunity in India's transformation. They partner with the Indian government to build a plant in Bhopal, the capital of Madhya Pradesh, dead center of the country, to manufacture a pesticide called 7. The pitch is perfect jobs for Indian workers, food security for Indian farmers' progress.
The plant is built in 1969.
By the mid-70s, it's operating. And around it, the way cities do, life fills in the gaps. Workers move to Bhopal. Their families follow. Small vendors set up shops to serve the workers. New neighborhoods bloom on the northern edge of the city. Jayaprakash Nagar, Chola, Kazi Camp. Dense, close, alive. By 1984, roughly 100,000 people are living within walking distance of the plant. Nobody tells them what's inside it. To make 7, you need a chemical called methyl isocyanate, MIC. Here is what methyl isocyanate does to a human body. It reacts with moisture, any moisture, the lining of your eyes, the walls of your throat, the delicate tissue of your lungs. When MIC enters your airways, it doesn't just irritate them, it triggers a full-scale immune response. Your body recognizes a catastrophic attack and floods the lung tissue with fluid to try to fight back. This is called pulmonary edema. Your lungs fill with your own immune response. You drown, slowly, while standing in open air. Your eyes, the surface of them, begin to dissolve. Even a small exposure causes permanent damage. A large exposure kills within minutes. The plant stores MIC in underground tanks. Tank 610 holds up to 15,000 gallons of it at a time. And the safety systems designed to contain it if anything goes wrong, there are supposed to be 3 of them. A refrigeration system to keep the MIC cool and stable. A scrubber that would neutralize any escaping gas with caustic soda. A flare tower that would burn off anything that made it past the scrubber. 3 layers of protection between the tank and the city. On the night of December 2nd, 1984, all 3 are offline. The plant doesn't fall apart overnight. It falls apart the way most things fall apart. Slowly, invisibly,
one reasonable-seeming decision at a time. By 1981, demand for Sevin has dropped. Indian farmers aren't buying it at the rates Union Carbide projected. The plant is running at maybe a third of its capacity. It is losing money.
And a plant that loses money becomes a different kind of place. Between 1980 and 1984, the maintenance workforce is cut in half. Not fired all at once, just not replaced when people leave. Quietly reduced. The people who remain are stretched thinner. Repairs that should happen get deferred. Equipment that should be replaced gets patched. In 1982, Union Carbide sends a safety team from the United States to inspect the Bhopal plant. They are their own company's auditors, and what they find scares them. Their report, a document that will later become crucial evidence, lists multiple major hazards. The MIC storage system has the potential for a runaway reaction. Safety instrumentation is inadequate. Pipes and valves are leaking. The report is specific. It uses plain language. It is not ambiguous. The report goes to management. Nothing is fixed. The same year, a worker is splashed with phosgene, another toxic chemical at the plant, and dies. It is treated as a workplace accident, a tragedy, but an isolated one. 2 years later, another worker is killed in a separate incident. Former employees, speaking to journalists and investigators in the years after the disaster, describe a plant where raising safety concerns had become pointless, where the pressure from above was always about cost, never about caution. One former engineer put it like this: "We were maintaining a space shuttle with a bicycle repair shop, and then, piece by piece, the safety systems go offline. The refrigeration unit for tank 610 is shut down to save electricity. MIC is supposed to be stored cold, near 0 degrees. Without refrigeration, it sits warmer, less stable. The scrubber is taken offline for routine maintenance and not restarted. The flare tower is out of service, waiting for a replacement part. Tank 610's pressure gauge is malfunctioning. Workers have flagged it. It's on a list somewhere. The list isn't acted on." This is the plant on the evening of December 2nd, 1984. A tank holding tens of thousands of gallons of one of the most dangerous chemicals ever synthesized, surrounded by a city of 900,000 people, protected by nothing. And somewhere, in a pipe, water is moving in the wrong direction. The night shift begins at 10:45 p.m. Suman Day is one of the operators. He will later describe the early part of the shift as normal, which itself tells you something about what normal had become at this plant. The instruments are unreliable, the equipment is aged, but you get used to that. You stop seeing it as danger and start seeing it as just the way things are. Around 11 p.m., workers in the MIC unit start noticing their eyes burning, more than usual. There's a smell, faint, sharp, something between cut grass and something chemical that you don't have a word for. They mention it to each other. Someone checks the pressure gauge on tank 610. It reads high. The supervisor is called. He looks at the gauge. He's seen it read high before. The gauge is broken. Everyone knows that. He decides to finish his tea break and investigate after. He finishes his tea. This is not a monster. This is a man who has been working in a building with broken equipment for years, who has been trained by experience to discount the alarms because the alarms have cried wolf before. He is a victim of the system as much as anyone. But the decision costs minutes, and the minutes cost lives. What nobody knows yet, what nobody will know until investigators piece it together afterward, is that water entered tank 610 sometime that evening. Somewhere between 900 and 1,000 liters. The most likely cause, a routine pipe wash,
water flowing in the wrong direction through lines that weren't properly isolated, through a gap where a basic safety device called a slip blind should have been installed and wasn't. The water hits the MIC. The reaction is immediate, violent, exothermic, temperature rising, pressure rising.
Tank 610, designed to hold a stable, cold chemical at controlled pressure, is now essentially a chemical bomb, and the clock is running. By 11:30, workers can see gas venting from the relief valve stack. By midnight, they know this is not a gauge malfunction. At 12:15 a.m., the safety valve gives way entirely. What comes out of tank 610 in the next 2 hours is approximately 40 tons of methyl isocyanate gas. 40 tons. It doesn't rise. MIC is heavier than air. It sinks to the ground and moves outward in a low, silent cloud, hugging the terrain, pooling in the low-lying streets and alleyways of northern Bhopal. The night is cold. Cold air is dense, heavy. There is almost no wind. The gas has nowhere to go except outward, through the streets, at the height of a child sleeping on the floor. The plant's internal alarm sounds. The external alarm, the one that might warn the city, is triggered briefly, then turned off. The official reason given afterward? To avoid panic. The effect? The neighborhoods closest to the plant receive no warning at all. No sirens, no announcement, nothing. They are sleeping. Sunil Kumar Verma is 12 years old, living in Railway Colony, less than a kilometer from the plant. He wakes up because his eyes feel like someone pressed burning cigarettes into them. He hears screaming outside. His father is already at the window. In the street below, people are running. Not organized running, not evacuation running, but desperate animal running. People falling, getting up, falling again. His father grabs him and his siblings, and they run too. He will remember for the rest of his life the animals. A cow standing in the road, then not standing. Dogs collapsed on their sides. A goat making a sound he'd never heard an animal make. The street covered in bodies of things that had simply stopped living where they were. He runs harder. This is the thing that kills so many people that night. The instinct to run is correct. Get away from the source. But running means your lungs are pumping at full capacity. Full capacity means you're drawing the gas deeper into your airways with every breath. The faster you run, the faster you die. People who locked themselves inside and breathed shallowly had better survival rates than people who ran. But nobody knew that. Nobody could have known that. They ran because running is what you do. At Hamidia Hospital, the city's main government hospital, the situation becomes impossible within an hour. Dr. Hirish Chandra arrives to find thousands of people, thousands already crowding the entrance. People blind, people unable to breathe, people with foam at their mouths, people carrying other people who are no longer moving. Children. Everywhere, children. The hospital has not been warned. There is no protocol. There is no antidote for MIC exposure. None that exists anywhere in the world, certainly not stockpiled at a hospital in Bhopal. Dr. Chandra will later say, "We were doctors with no medicine for the disease in front of us. We washed eyes. We tried to help people breathe. We watched people die and moved to the next person." The lawn outside the hospital fills with bodies. The corridors fill. The parking lot fills. By 3 a.m., the gas cloud has mostly passed the densest neighborhoods and is dispersing. The chemical release is slowing. The acute emergency, in terms of the cloud itself, is ending. What it's leaving behind is something that will take days to fully comprehend. The sun rises over Bhopal on December 3rd, and the people who walk through the northern neighborhoods in those first hours describe the same thing over and over in testimony after testimony. It looks like a city that was alive and then wasn't. Shoes in the road,
a child's school bag, rotis, flatbreads, sitting on a step outside a door, still there from the night before, as if someone had just stepped away for a moment. Thousands of animals dead, trees stripped of their leaves overnight, turned brown as if an entire season had happened between midnight and dawn. Bodies in doorways, bodies on cots, bodies of people who had clearly been trying to reach the door and hadn't made it. The government's first official death toll is somewhere around 1,700. It is revised upward and upward. Investigators working through the data in the following months and years arrive at numbers between 3,700 and 8,000 dead in the first week alone. Long-term deaths. People who survived the initial exposure but developed cancers, respiratory failure, organ damage, push some estimates to 15,000 or 20,000 over the following years. The Indian Council of Medical Research documents over 500,000 people exposed. 500,000 people. In one night. In one city. This is, by every measure, the deadliest industrial accident in recorded history. And the man who runs the company responsible for it is about to get on a plane. Warren Anderson is 63 years old. He is the chairman of Union Carbide Corporation. He has spent his entire career at the company. He is, by all accounts, a decent man personally, someone who sends handwritten notes, who is well liked by colleagues, who has a reputation for integrity. He flies to Bhopal 4 days after the disaster. Indian authorities arrest him at the airport. The charge is culpable homicide. This is a serious criminal offense. Warren Anderson is taken into custody. He is held for 6 hours. His company pays the bail. He is escorted to a government guest house and then to a plane. He flies back to the United States. He never returns to India. What follows is one of the most extraordinary legal evasions in the history of corporate accountability. India issues criminal charges. Courts declare him a fugitive. Formal extradition requests are made to the United States government, once in 1992, again in 2003. The requests are declined. Procedural issues.
Insufficient evidence. Diplomatic sensitivity. The specific reasons shift over the years, but the outcome never does. Warren Anderson lives in Bridgehampton, New York, then in a retirement community in Florida. He gives no public interviews. He makes no statements about Bhopal. He lives quietly for 30 years, occasionally reported to be in poor health, occasionally found by journalists who stake out his address. He dies in September 2014. He is 92 years old. He dies in a Florida retirement community without having stood trial for anything related to Bhopal.
But no action was
When
taken.
the news reaches Bhopal, survivor groups gather in the streets. They burn effigies. Some of them are elderly now. Some of them walk with oxygen tanks because their lungs never recovered from 1984. They have been demanding this trial for 30 years. They will not get it. In 1989, 5 years after the disaster, a settlement is reached. Union Carbide will pay the Indian government $470 million. The Indian Supreme Court approves it. The case, they declare, is closed. Survivor groups explode in protest. They had not been consulted. They had not agreed. And when they do the math, here is what they find. $470 million divided by 570,000 claimants. That is roughly $800 per person. Before bureaucratic deductions, before the years of waiting, some people wait more than a decade for payment. Before the legal fees that eat into the pool. The final payments that reach actual survivors in the slums of Jayaprakash Nagar average somewhere between $300 and $500. For a lifetime of chronic illness. For a dead child. For lungs that will never fully work again. $300 to $500. Union Carbide's legal bills for the case almost certainly exceeded the settlement amount. In 2001, Dow Chemical acquires Union Carbide.
Dow's position is immediate and consistent. We were not the owners when it happened. We bear no liability. The legal argument is technically sophisticated. It is also, survivors and many legal scholars argue, a way of ensuring that acquiring a company never means acquiring accountability for what that company did. Dow Chemical's market capitalization when it acquires Union Carbide, over $20 billion. The cleanup fund the Indian courts eventually established for the contaminated Bhopal site, $50 million. Released over years. Still, as of the most recent reports, not fully completed. The contamination is still there. This is the part of the story that doesn't get told enough. The plant is closed after the disaster, but closing a plant doesn't make the chemicals inside it disappear. Union Carbide conducts some cleanup. Independent researchers who test the site afterward describe it as deeply inadequate. Chemicals, pesticide residues, chlorinated compounds, heavy metals, remain in the soil. They leach into the groundwater. The groundwater feeds wells. The wells serve the neighborhoods. The same neighborhoods. Studies conducted in the 2000s and 2010s find contaminants in drinking water near the plant site at levels far above safe limits. Children born in these communities, not in 1984 but in 1994, in 2004, are found to have higher rates of birth defects and developmental conditions than children elsewhere in India. Their mothers were not there on the night of the disaster, but they drink the water. They live on the ground. The disaster for them is not a historical event. It is the water coming out of the tap. The Sambhavna Trust Clinic opened in Bhopal in 1996. It provides free medical care to survivors and their families. Its doctors and researchers have been documenting what they call the second generation of Bhopal, the children and grandchildren who bear the physical marks of something that happened before they were born. Think about that. A corporation makes decisions in the 1980s, cuts corners, ignores warnings. A disaster happens. The corporation settles. The executives retire. The lawyers move on to other cases. And in Bhopal, a child born in 2005 has damaged lungs. Bhopal changed things. Some things. In the United States, it directly caused the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act of 1986. For the first time, industrial facilities were required to disclose what chemicals they were storing. Communities had a legal right to know what was next to them. Emergency response plans became mandatory. The logic, radical to some at the time, was simple. If you live next to a facility, you have a right to know what risk you're living next to. International chemical safety standards tightened. India overhauled its environmental liability law. The word Bhopal entered the vocabulary of industrial safety as shorthand for the thing you were designing against. These are real changes. They matter. And yet the architecture that made Bhopal possible, the distance between corporate decision-makers and the communities they put at risk, the legal barriers that allow parent companies to disown the consequences of their subsidiaries, the economics that make cutting safety cheaper than maintaining it, the political gaps that allow wealthy countries to shelter executives from the legal processes of poorer ones. That architecture is largely intact. There have been other disasters, different chemicals, different countries, different company names, same pattern, known risks, deferred maintenance, legal battles that outlast the memory of the event, settlements that close the case without closing the wound. Bhopal didn't teach the lesson it should have taught. Sunil Kumar Verma, the 12-year-old from Railway Colony, the boy who ran through streets covered in dead animals, became an engineer. He said in an interview that he chose the field partly because he wanted to understand the night technically, to be able to trace the reaction, the fluid dynamics, the failure cascade.
to make it make sense in a language he could hold on to. He said understanding it didn't make it easier. It just meant he could explain it to other people. Maybe that's all any of us can do with something like this. Understand it clearly enough that we can explain it. Resist the language that turns it into an accident, as if the word accident means it couldn't have been stopped. Sit with the discomfort of knowing it was built, assembled over years out of choices, because that discomfort is the thing that might, in some other plant, in some other city, make someone pause before they sign off on the next cut. The gas lasted a few hours.
The bodies were in the street by morning. The lawsuits ran for 3 decades. The contamination is still in the ground. And in a retirement community in Florida, an old man died without ever being asked, in a court of law, to answer for any of it.
His name was Warren Anderson. He was 92 years old. He died in his sleep. The Sambhavna Trust Clinic in Bhopal continues to provide free medical care to survivors and second-generation victims. If this story stayed with you, their work is worth knowing about.